the middle of the floor tonight. You have some young guys that really try to pressure you, and didn't feel like playing on the side was good. Didn't feel like playing in the post really was good either, because they flood with that low guy, and they're disruptive. Kamara's like Dyson Daniels or some of these other guys we played recently that just kind of get you out of your flow offensively if you are stagnant. So we wanted to just play in the middle of the floor. But I thought Ruby in that second quarter was great, and D'Lo just having a big time game. AD was fantastic. And then defensively for us, I thought a number of guys played really well, and Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Cam. It was overall a really good game for our group.
Along those lines, what's sort of the big picture utility on a night like tonight in terms of, obviously D'Lo hit shots, but before that, it felt like he was doing a lot of little things in terms of organization and stuff like that mattered. You mentioned Cam, he had 4 assists, I think, during the second quarter. What sort of is the challenge to take this stuff that occurred like on a night when LeBron and Austin aren't out there in possessions and figure out ways to fit this in?
Yeah, I think you have to adapt throughout the season with what works for the group and what works for different players. I will say, night to night, LeBron and AD are gonna have the ball, and the offense is gonna run through them. How we do that has been different at different times throughout the year. The other guys are really good offensive players and really talented, and there's nights where it's their nights, and there's nights where it's not. So some of it is feel, but again, you have to be open to mixing different things in. It's funny because when LeBron was like scratched, I went into my office and I put like 7 ATOs together that obviously didn't involve him. One of which was for Rui, which I don't know if we've called an ATO for him since the preseason, and we executed it and scored. We ended up running that 9 or 10 times, and I think they stopped it once. So just that flexibility, I think, is important.
You told us pregame with no LeBron, you're going to need your team to move, cut, pass, get in transition, and touch the paint every possession. How do you assess that checklist after the game?
Yeah, thought, I don't even know what this. I really thought the AD Ruby combo was really great in the 2-man, and then. They couldn't stop it, so maybe we didn't need to touch the paint tonight.
Okay.
You guys had, I think it was the second quarter as part of 15-0 run, you guys had, I want to say, 5 or 6 consecutive stops. A lot of times we talk about offensive flow and rhythm. How much of that also applies defensively in terms of, stops can lead to more stops, and that, I guess, raise the energy of the group?
Yeah. We talked about it with our group. We're a better defensive team when we're set versus in transition, and you get stops, and even if it's not a transition bucket, maybe there's cross matches, the defense is scrambling, and you can exploit that. Outside of Ayton's offensive rebounds and a couple of ISO 3s that we gave up, 2 in the first half, the Avio one late in the second half. It was a very good defensive game for us. I thought our Veers, our low man, they're not running a ton of ghost stuff. The one thing they do run that they ghost out of is similar to our Horn's chest, and we defended that well. So I think just overall the defense was really solid.
Coach, I really like, first of all, what you said about playing in the middle of the floor, because I noticed like D'Lo had a stretch where he was getting hot, but he was going to that nail entry to Rui, and then I was kind of the same situation in the first quarter too, where AD, you made sure that you got him at the nail entry. Talk about that, how you like that execution, and then also, you know, the 14 steals tonight too as well.
Yeah, again, our defensive activity was really good. And Gabe ended up with 3 steals. Rui had 4. You know, it's obviously harder to double. It's harder to send help in the middle of the floor than it is on the side or in the post. It just felt like both those guys, whether it was through switching with Rui or with 80 primary or with the switch, we could get good offense out of that tonight.
Yeah. You guys have 4 days now until you have to play another game. You're only going to practice once. Kind of what went into the calculus in terms of what this team needs? And I guess curiously for you, I mean,
What about what the coaches need?
that's what I was going to ask. Like for you, getting this kind of break, how are you going to handle it in terms of an audit and stuff like that?
Well, we haven't had a ton of practice time, but the reality is we are banged up. Even the guys that are playing every night are banged up. I would say tonight is the end of a very long 2-week road trip. We've already had an 11-day road trip. Travel has been tough. Some of the back-to-backs and even just the other night from Atlanta, getting home at 3 a.m. So I would have liked to practice, but I think you do have to look for these opportunities, and they're very rare to give your guys 2 days off. Tuesday, it's not mandatory, but will be sort of a recovery, get what you need day for guys that need it. But heck, if somebody wants to go spend a couple nights in Santa Barbara and relax, that's fine too. It's quarter way through the season. For the coaching staff, we've already started doing some internal auditing, some comparisons between first 14 games, really offensively, first 15 games, and what we've done the previous 9 and going into tonight. Just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and some of the red stuff we need to audit and figure out what switching groups we want to have and what type of teams are hurting the Reds versus what type of teams we've defended well against with our switching groups versus when we played coverage and all that stuff. So it's a good opportunity for everybody.
Thanks, Coach.